The rise and fall of the Roman Empire. In the entire history of humanity, one civilization cast a shadow so long. It still falls on our laws, our languages, our very way of thinking. An empire that began on 7 small hills, beside a modest river, and one day held the entire known world in its grip. That empire was Rome. Today, we journey through the most extraordinary story in human history. The rise of a tiny village to the mightiest empire on earth. And then, the dramatic, painful collapse of that same power. Chapter 1, The Legend of Origins. 753 BC. On the banks of the Tiber River, in the heart of Italy, 7 small hills were home to a cluster of people. According to Roman tradition, their city was founded by 2 brothers, Romulus and Remus. Sons of Mars, the god of war. As infants, they were thrown into the Tiber River and left to die. But fate had other plans. A she-wolf found them and nursed them back to life. When they grew up, the brothers decided to build a new city. But they argued, which hill should it be built on? In that dispute, Romulus killed his brother Remus, and named the city after himself. Rome. This is legend. But historically, settlements did appear in this region around the 8th century BC. And that small settlement would one day become the most powerful state the world had ever seen. Chapter 2, From Kingdom to Republic. In its early days, Rome was a monarchy, 7 kings ruling in succession. But the 7th king, Tarquinius Superbus, was a tyrant. His son Sextus assaulted a noble Roman woman named Lucretia. The next morning, she told her family everything, and took her own life. The aristocratic families of Rome rose in fury. Rebellion spread. The king was expelled. 509 BC, the Roman Republic was born. Power passed to the Senate. 2 consuls were elected every year. No single person would hold absolute power. That was the foundation. This republican structure gave Rome its strength. Citizens felt it was their state. They fought for it. They built it. They believed in it. Chapter 3, Expansion begins. The Roman Republic slowly began to expand. Neighboring cities fell one by one. But Rome didn't just conquer. They absorbed the talented and capable from the defeated peoples. This policy was Rome's greatest strength. By the 3rd century BC, Rome controlled all of Italy. Then their eyes turned to the Mediterranean Sea. There stood another great power, Carthage. This commercial empire from North Africa dominated the Mediterranean. A clash between Rome and Carthage was inevitable. The Punic Wars began, among the most brutal conflicts in history. Chapter 4, Hannibal and Rome's greatest enemy. 218 BC. The Carthaginian general Hannibal Barca did something that astonished history forever. He set out from Spain. With him, 50,000 infantry, 9,000 cavalry, and 37 war elephants. He crossed the Pyrenees. He crossed the Rhone. Then, in the dead of winter, he crossed the Alps, a route no one had dared imagine. Thousands of soldiers died in the snowstorms. Hannibal didn't stop. Entering Italy, he destroyed one Roman army after another. Trebia. Lake Trasimene. Rome lost again and again. But the worst day came in 216 BC. The Battle of Cannae. In a single day, Hannibal's forces killed approximately 70,000 Roman soldiers. One of the single deadliest days of combat in all of human history. Rome stood at the edge of destruction. But Rome didn't break. The Senate met. A new strategy was born. Don't fight Hannibal directly. Exhaust him. Strike Carthage. Strike Spain. A young Roman general named Scipio Africanus took the fight to Carthage on its own soil. In 202 BC, at the Battle of Zama, Hannibal was defeated. Carthage fell. Rome triumphed. Chapter 5, The Crisis of the Republic. After victory, Rome grew larger. But with size came internal conflict. Land conquered in war flowed to the wealthy. Poor soldiers returned home to find their farms gone, their livelihoods destroyed. The gap between rich and poor became enormous. Tiberius Gracchus and his brother Gaius tried land reform. The Senate's wealthy class had them killed. Then came the age of military strongmen. Marius reformed the army. Sulla marched on Rome with his own legions, something once unthinkable. The Republic was weakening.
Then he arrived.
Chapter 6. Julius Caesar. Gaius Julius Caesar. A name that still echoes 2,000 years later. Caesar was a general, politician, author, and orator all at once. He conquered Gaul, modern France.
He set foot in Britain.
He went to Egypt and allied with Cleopatra. But the Senate was afraid. Caesar was ordered to disband his army and return to Rome. He refused. January, 49 BC. He stood at the banks of the Rubicon River, the boundary of Italy. By law, crossing with an armed army meant treason. Caesar spoke those immortal words, Alia iacta est.
The die is cast. He crossed. Civil war began. Caesar won. He became dictator perpetuo, dictator for life. But the Senate plotted. March 15, 44 BC, the Ides of March.
As Caesar entered the Senate, 23 conspirators surrounded him. Blade after blade struck him down. As he fell, he saw among the assassins his trusted friend, Brutus. Legend says he whispered, "Et tu, Brute?"
You too, Brutus?
Chapter 7. The Birth of Empire. Caesar's death brought more chaos to Rome. Mark Antony, Octavian, and Lepidus formed the Second Triumvirate. They defeated Caesar's killers. But then came the struggle between themselves. Antony fell in love with Egypt's queen, Cleopatra. His alliance with Octavian shattered. In 31 BC, at the naval battle of Actium, Octavian was victorious. Antony took his own life. So did Cleopatra. Egypt passed into Roman hands. Octavian returned to Rome. The Senate granted him a magnificent title, Augustus. 27 BC, the Roman Empire officially began. The Republic was over. The Age of Emperors had arrived. Chapter 8. The Golden Age of the Roman Empire. Augustus's reign launched the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. For nearly 200 years, the empire was stable, prosperous, and dominant. Roads stretched for thousands of miles. Laws were written. Aqueducts carried clean water across the land. Architecture reached new heights. The Colosseum rose from the earth. The Pantheon was built. The Forum was adorned. Roman citizenship was the most valued identity in the known world. Under Emperors Trajan, Hadrian, and Marcus Aurelius, Rome reached its greatest territorial extent. The empire stretched from Britain to Mesopotamia, from the Scottish Highlands to the Sahara Desert, from Armenia to Portugal. Over 50 million people lived under Roman rule. Chapter 9. The Seeds of Decline. But within this great power, the seeds of weakness were already growing. The 3rd century brought crisis. In 50 years, more than 25 emperors came and went, most dying by violence. The army became the true kingmaker. Soldiers chose emperors, and killed them when convenient. Inflation spiraled out of control. Taxes rose. Trade collapsed. Farmers abandoned their land. Pressure mounted at the borders. Germanic tribes from the north, Persian power from the east. Diocletian attempted a solution. He split the empire into eastern and western halves. An administrative fix. But within that split lay the seeds of permanent division. Chapter 10. Constantine and Christianity. Constantine arrived in the 4th century. Before the Battle of Milvian Bridge in 312 AD, he reportedly saw a vision in the sky, a cross of light, and heard the words, "In this sign conquer." He won the battle. And he granted legal recognition to Christianity throughout the Roman Empire. This was one of history's most pivotal turning points. The faith whose followers had been persecuted for centuries, thrown to lions in arenas, that same faith became the religion of the empire. Constantine moved the capital eastward, to Byzantium. It was renamed Constantinople. The western half of the empire grew weaker still. Chapter 11. The Huns and the Hammering of Rome.
Then came the Huns.
These nomadic warriors from Central Asia swept into Europe and destroyed everything in their path. Visigoths, Ostrogoths, and other Germanic peoples were pushed onto Roman soil, seeking refuge. Rome let them in, but treated them with cruelty. In 378 AD, at the Battle of Adrianople, the Visigoths utterly defeated the Roman army. Emperor Valens himself was killed on the battlefield. In 410 AD, under the leadership of Alaric, the Visigoths sacked the city of Rome. For the first time in nearly 800 years, Rome had fallen to an enemy. Shock waves rolled across the empire.
Then came Attila the Hun.
Known as the Scourge of God, this terrifying leader burned his way across Europe. In 451 AD, at the Battle of Chalons, he was barely stopped. But the wounds he left in Rome were deep. Chapter 12. The Fall of the Western Roman Empire. The Western Roman Empire lurched toward its end. Emperors became figureheads. Real power belonged to Germanic military commanders. 476 AD, that famous date in history. A Germanic commander named Odoacer removed the last emperor of the West, a 16-year-old boy named Romulus Augustulus, from his throne. There was no great battle. No dramatic last stand. A letter was sent to the emperor in the east. The crown is being returned. There is no longer a need for a Roman emperor in the west. 1200 years of Roman rule ended, almost quietly. Epilogue, the legacy of Rome.
Rome fell.
But did Rome really disappear? The legal systems of the Western world are still built on Roman law. English, French, Spanish, Italian, these languages were born from Latin. The structure of the Catholic Church mirrors Roman administration. The road networks of Europe still follow Roman routes. Senate, veto, consul, republic, these words still live in our politics today. Rome lives within us.
An empire ends.
But a civilization endures forever.